I'm back, and in this episode, we would like to continue with the damage system. So, in the last episode, we actually implemented the damage. So, we are dealing damage when we are using our sphere trace. So far, we did apply the damage node, or the so called apply damage, when we use our gun. So, this means we have either the shotgun, or we do have the revolver, or the pistol itself. So we also have a melee weapon here. So we also need to make sure that we apply this for the hammer trace. And at the same time, in this episode, I would like to give the player also a health system, which is also just basically we give our player like 100 health, which is just a float variable, and we give our zombie a damage so that the zombie can deal damage. And when we have 0 health, we are basically dead. And this is what we also need to implement. And then I think we are like good to go for like a base damage system regarding player dealing damage and also zombie dealing damage. Let me just quickly check if yes, I did implement injured animations. This is just a walk, and there's also like this critical, like this one, like where you're like really screwed. So when we're like really low, let's say like 15 or 20, below 20 health, we can also implement this one if you want to. So this is something I also want to update. So let's just continue from here and see if everything is working. So line trace. So yeah. So we're not receiving damage so far. But yes, so it's working. Let me just quickly check again if the blood is also spawning. And if you are annoyed by not hitting all the time, because also it depends on the camera, it's hard to estimate, you can just increase the sphere trace. Okay, so it's fine. Good. Let me also increase the texture streaming. Streaming pool size, R streaming pool size, and just depending on your graphics card, so 6000 should be fine for that. Good. So yeah, the blood for the players pretty intense. Yeah, but it's fine. I think so. How the zombie is dying and just collapsing, I think it's fine for now. It's okay. But the blood for us is pretty intense, right? Yeah, it's pretty intense. So let's go into the F shoot. Weapon trace. After the weapon trace, we deal damage, and when we deal damage, we have this one, spawn system at location. So let's just get spawn emitter at location, and just control, click, control drag everything here. Oh yeah, of course it makes sense. We need to change this. Blood effects, we need to change that as well. Good. And the location, pretty important. So we can just get rid of this. And then we can, because we need data here, right? So this is a Niagara system inside our zombie BP. So we can just the master, and we changed it from Niagara to Cascade. Wait, let me see. I think it was particle system. Just particle system. Yeah. So blood cloud, this one, and let's do another one. So we have all, and I don't want to use the structure to be honest. Yeah. Compile. And then we can just get rid of this and get, we need a new node, so random. And then from there we can finally hook that one up. Good. And then let's straighten this. Okay, compile. And let us see if this is going to work out. So you see both variations, basically, how to use Niagara and how to use the Cascade, the old one. So, yeah, the blood is looking nice. Yeah, this is much better. Good. Also, the shotgun here looks pretty aggressive. Let me open that one. Let me go into the textures, base color metal, and let me get this back to 1.8 maybe, and maybe 1.4. Save. This is just too bright, I believe. So yeah, now this looks good. But of course, it depends on like how strong that your lighting is. So this is the reason why I had to change it now. Okay, it looks much better. All right. So let's give ourselves some health. Okay. So what we need to do, we go inside our RE character, which is already here, anywhere. And we should have this also here in our AC as a variable. So we have player attributes. Oh, we do have already player health, which is good. So we can use that. So let me open up the zombie VP. Because we should have an event where he is going to bite us, right? So this is the one. This is the event. And then we do a bunch of stuff here. So this is fine. So what we can do the function here, and then we cast this function to our AC, or we do all the stuff inside our AC and cast the information to our zombie. I think we should do it in our AC. So maybe also later, maybe in the next episode, we can also change this function and put it in our AC, so that everything is inside our AC, all the logic. But yeah, this is something we can do later if you want to. So let's do a function, another function. We call this one f_receive, if I can type, receive damage. Okay, so what we need, our player health, we need apply damage. So we have a damaged actor, which is our character, so we can just use this one because this is valid from the beginning. Damage, I think we should use like a random float or something. Random float and range. And let's give the zombie a damage value. So go inside the master, create a float. We call this one damage. Let's do so we have 100, right? So let's give him 25. Okay, so this is like the minimum damage, 25 for this zombie. So what we can do, we need to cast anyway. So yeah, let's cast to zombie, BP master zombie. No, we don't need that. So we overlap, right? We don't actually need to cast because we overlap. Get zombie. Let's print that. Let's print the zombie display name first. And we have this function called receive damage, right? So let's go into the zombie master. Let's just try that. So when we bite, so this makes sense. When he starts to bite. So it's happening here, basically. This is the event. So this event here, this whole event, is getting fired off here once we overlap. So we do have data. And after bite, we can just, from our character, so from the character, which is valid once we overlap, right? With the bite collision, makes sense. So let's just F damage. So it's called receive damage, right? Yeah, we do have an AC inventory, so let's just get it from here. Makes sense. So just drag it off AC. Then we have that. So we do know that this is getting fired once we overlap with the zombie. So when he's biting us, and then let's see if we get the display name of the zombie. Okay, so we do, which is good. Okay, so we can continue. So the event instigator is the controller that was responsible for causing the damage. In this case, we leave it, right? But the damage causer is, of course, the zombie. Let's get some space, because from the zombie, we need get damage. So the damage of the zombie. And this is the base damage as a minimum. But max, I would like to also multiply this. So then this means we have always like this base damage, which is 25, I believe. Yeah, 25 minimum, but we can just multiply it by 2. I think this is a little too. Yeah, let's do 2, and this one is 20. 20. So minimum is always 20 damage, but we multiply it by 2, which is the maximum. So it could be 20, between 20 minimum and maximum 40. Okay, so this is something we can do. So we have some random value, and let's just get this one here, and this one here as well. So the return value is either 20 or 40 inside this random range, right? Which means we want to get this value and subtract it. But we just switch this one. So from our player health, we subtract it like so. And then we set the player health to its new value. Okay? And then we should do a macro. So when we are injured, right? Let's do a macro. A new macro. Call this one check injured state. So we get the player attributes. If the player health is, let's say, less or equal, I have no idea, 50, we can do a branch. Oh, by the way, what I just found out, when you are using Unreal Engine 5.6, so there's already a new version of Unreal Engine, so it's happening quite fast all the time. When you are using 5.6 in the future, there's a small tip I can give you. When you create a boolean, let's say, just example, you have a boolean, you set this one, you can right click and then you can create a branch out of it. So you don't need to do this stuff, or like, for example, this. So you check something, you don't need to do this anymore. You can just right click and then make a branch out of this boolean directly, which is, in my case, it's not really like a big difference here, but I'm just still using a branch, but yeah, this is a new feature in 5.6. So if our player health is less or equal 50, we want to update our animation so that we have like an injured animation, blend space. This just means that we just use a boolean and we call this one injured state. Or like, let's just do injured question mark, okay? And we put this into the player attributes, we set this one to true. And if it's not, we set this one to false. So we leave it like so. And we need to continue from here, so let's just get this one and get this one. Because this one is, output is called injured in this case, and the second one is not injured. So we know our outputs, because we need to continue from there, obviously. And make sure this macro, when you heal your character, of course you need to use this one as well. So we also have to implement this one when we use a herb, of course, just to update our injured state. So when we heal, our injured state is obviously, in most cases, false. So now, this is pretty important that you have this one, check injured state, and let's get this one. So we check this every single time we apply that, we get damage. So every single time that we get damage, we check this one. After that, we can create another macro. Let's create another macro. Death. Just call it death. Then we check. I think we don't need to check again. Let's see. We can do player health is less or equal 50 if it's true. We go this route anyway, and then we can do another check here, which is, let's copy this. If it's 0, we are dead, right? Let's just do that. Look at this branch. So if it's false, we are injured, right? We are just injured. But if this guy over here is true, we do know that we need a third output. Let's put it here. And maybe we should put it here. So this new parameter is called dead. Good. So now we can check, yeah, if this is true, we are dead. We go here, if it's true, we are injured. And we check again the health. No, it's not less or equal 0, right? And then we know if it's false, we are still injured. But if we have more than 50, it's false in the first place, so we are not injured anymore, and we're not injured, so we are fine. Okay, so we are basically checking 3 different states. Let's get this one here. So we don't have an input, right? But we can just... Okay, let's just leave it for now. We just know, let's just get an input here, and we call this one death. Yeah, let's just call this one death. I don't care. And obviously we don't need an output because we are already dead. So we just prepare this one, okay? So that we know later that we can fill this with like a death animation and disable collision and all that stuff, alright? Or we can also just destroy ourselves. Doesn't matter. So you just know what to do here. Yeah, okay. Good. So let's update our animation. For that, we need to create inside our character animation blueprint. Before we open that one, let's do a blend space, and we have this. Where's our move? Okay, this is our default blend space. Just move, gun. Okay, let's just duplicate this one, and we call this one move injured. Okay, so I have those things already. So this is all idle stuff. This is the walk. This is walk backwards, and this is jog. And we don't need those, so you can just delete everything. So this is the speed of 125 when we walk, 150, and 300 is jog. So let's get the injured, and let's see. We have an injured walk forward, which is here, speed of 150. We have the injured walk back, we have the injured walk back here, and we have the run here, and we have the injured idle. So let me just fill this one, and this is fine. We don't need more. Let's see how it's going to look. Alright, so we injured. So now this is pretty easy. Like when you always think like, oh no, I have to update my animations, it's pretty easy. You just need a boolean. So when you go to the the event graph, you get from the AC, you get the injured, we create it in our AC, we get this one, we create this one here as well. Alright, we need to do that for our anim graph. So if this is true, our new boolean inside our NMVP is true as well, so it gets updated. And make sure that you put everything you check here, make sure that you have this is valid node, because otherwise our AC gets checked every single frame. And this is pretty costly in terms of performance, so if it's not valid, we are not checking, okay? Only when our AC inventory is valid. It's pretty important. Good. Then, let's go to the anim graph. And we need to update this one. So we do know that our default pose is this locomotion. This is this one basically. This is the cache we create from our locomotion. We created a cache. And then from our cache we use this cache. So use cache pose. So it is called like this. And this is our base pose. When we do a montage, like reload for example, we blend so that we can still use our feet and it's not getting affected, but only the upper body. You can see layered blend per bone, spine 02. So we do know this layered blend per bone. We set this one up that we only use the upper body for our reload. But we have a blend pose by bool if our hammer is equipped or if we're getting bitten. I want to have the whole montage. So this one is basically the same like this. This is just the same. But the only difference here is if we are getting bitten by the zombie or if our hammer is equipped, I don't want to have this layer blend per bone because I want to have the full animation. Okay? This is the only difference. So it looks intimidating a little bit, but it's not. It's actually quite easy to understand. But we need to update our animation state. And I think it makes sense if we just go inside our locomotion. We have the idle walk and run, and we aim with the shotgun, we aim with the pistol, and we aim with the hammer, right? So what we can do, so we only want to have this injured animation because we don't have any aim, like injured aim, doesn't make any sense. So we only need it when we're idling or walk or run. So this one needs to get an update. So if I just open this one up, I have the move, I have the shotgun move. So this is just when our shotgun is equipped. So this one is only affected when our shotgun is equipped. So the default pose is our BS, our blend space move. This is our default. Okay, this is running all the time, most of the time. But when our hammer is equipped, we also blend poses. Okay, and then what we should do, what makes sense? Blend poses by bool here, right? So we get injured. We blend poses, but no, we don't need to blend. We don't need to blend. We just get the blend space. Injured. Speed. Movement direction. Then just get another blend poses by bool. So our false pose is still this one. So nothing changed, okay? This is still our false pose. But if the injured is true, we just use this pose, this blend space, okay? This is all you need to do. We can check the injured state. If we are below 50, we are injured. and then it gets updated here automatically, okay? So let's try if this is going to work. Okay, let's see. Let's reopen because Unreal Engine just crashed. And let's see, okay, everything is fine. Let's do also a blend of 0.3 and 0.3 and compile and save. Okay, and let's also see if we have this one, receive damage. So when our master zombie, of course we need to set this one. So when we collide, after bite, F receive damage. Okay. Let's try. Okay, so we're getting damage and I'm already injured. Which means he has... Okay, so this doesn't make any sense at all. Let's print that because she can't be in injured state directly. Oh, actually she can. Let's print that. Let's print the health, okay? So let's get some space and we do... So player health, make sure this is by default 100. And let's print this one. This value. Okay? Let's save. Yeah, 51. Okay, we are at 51. Ah, okay, I know the reason. This is because he's doing it more than once. So he's doing it more than once, which means let's just decrease the multiplier 1.5 because I think this is too much. And also, he's doing it more than once. Okay, let's do another boolean. Receive damage. Okay, let's do like so. It's true by default. We make a branch. This is true. And then we set the receive damage to false. And then we can use a delay. Or instead, no. Don't need. We can just get this one here. Because we already have a cooldown here. So when our biting cooldown is true, so he can bite again. At the same time, we can also again receive damage. So this is just how we prevent spamming the damage. Okay. So let's see if this is going to work out. And then after that, we can just clean up, or in the next episode, we can just clean up this stuff here and create a macro. Let's see if this is going to work out with our animation. So yeah, 73. Animation is good. 37. And now we're injured, right? So yeah, this is working. So now what you can do, since the injured animation is working, sorry, I did a screenshot by accident. I wanted to delete. So what you can do now, or we do this in the next episode together. Now we have this whole function, receive damage. We do this stuff here. Update our player health, so it gets decreased. We can see that. And we have this macro. We can be either dead, so you can now inside this macro get a ragdoll animation for your player, or maybe we have a death animation. And we're checking every single time if we are injured or not. Okay, but make sure when you heal. So let's see. Green herb heal. So every time you do that, before, let's do every time we heal, we get this macro. Check injured state. Okay, just make sure that this one is so. And then just connect injured and not injured. Okay, this is pretty important. So we always play this. And when we're dead, we don't need to do it anyway. Doesn't make sense. But then you can just get this one, and you can do this also for the combined herb heal. Okay? And for the first aid spray, just do that. Injured, not injured. So every time we use this herb, if it's either green or combined, we check the health. And then we update our animation. So yeah, the only thing what's missing now is the death animation. Good. So let's get damage. Now we are injured. Let's heal. So it's a caution. And we are good to go. Alright? Good. Okay, I think this is enough for this episode, and in the next episode we just continue for implementing the death animation, and then we will see how we can proceed. Okay, thank you.